Welcome to today's transformative episode of Expansion of Consciousness. I'm your host, Jason Medlock, and this is the place where we explore the profound realm of psychic mediumship and spiritual healing with June Edwards. We've had a number of healers, coaches, mediums, meditators on the show, and we welcome this type of information because it's so fascinating to understand and to realize all the gifts and all the powers that Source has given us. But June is an acclaimed psychic medium and very insightful author and teacher who has used her exceptional abilities to assist in missing person cases and collaborate with notable paranormal groups. Having experienced the other side firsthand after a near-death experience at the age of 27, June returned with a renowned purpose to help others connect with departed loved ones and harness their spiritual energies for healing and growth. Today, she offers us a glimpse into her world where she bridges the tangible and eternal, helping individuals navigate their relationships and spiritual journeys with greater clarity and purpose. And without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on June Edwards. Hello there, June. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Just to
I'm,
clarify, it's June Edwards with no S, so people can find me. June
all
Edwards.
right, all right.
Thank
June
you.
Edward, I apologize, but thank you very much for making that clarification. But glad to have you here. I love to visit with people who have not only recognized that they've had this gift, but who actually use them to help people and not be afraid. And that's the
That's
key.
the key. That
A
is the
number of
key.
people come on the show and I've met and they email me all the time. They're afraid of what Source has given them, and to live in it and to walk in it and to use it to help people. I'm excited to talk with you.
So I had to laugh when you said you wanted a glimpse into my life. I'm like, ooh, that's scary even for me. But you're absolutely right. Fear is the problem for everyone. So, as you know, we are not the suit that sits here. We are the energetic being that's inside. We are the soul.
Yes.
And we're here living a 3D experience. We're here like an actor in a play, or if anyone has seen Avatar, that is just so apropos. That's what we are. We're here as actors. And while we have brains in our heads, right? Most of us. And our brain, although it's a computer and helps us process all our information, our brain actually has a very specific job. Our brain's job is to protect us. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So most people are making all their decisions in life based on fear. And when you do that, it's literally a 50-50 crapshoot. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but you're always questioning your decision. Everyone has had something in their life happen that they just had that knowing, that gut feeling that they were supposed to do something. And they did it without really thinking it through, and it worked out 100% of the time. That is your soul. That knowing is your soul.
You're saying a number of things that really resonate with me, coming from the Dolores Cannon School of Quantum Healing Hypnosis. A number of these uh, things that you're saying just kind of it brings back memories of studying quantum healing hypnosis and some of the amazing experiences we have when we have regressed clients who have been regressed past uh, their death and before they even incarnated. So a lot of that information has been unearthed by Dolores over the years, and we've read her books. And just to hear you speak about these things in the same context is just amazing.
Yeah.
I want you to go back a little bit, and I know we just ran into it. When did you understand that Source has allowed you to experience your gift? When did you know that, oh wow, I can do this? And what kind of feeling was it?
So it's interesting because everyone is born with psychic ability and mediumship ability. It's a
Exactly.
matter of what we do with it. It's kind of like playing a piano. Some people sit down and all they can do is chopsticks. Other people are more interested and they might teach themselves a couple of songs. Other people decide to do this as a living and they become a concert pianist, right? And I'm like the 6-year-old prodigy that sits down and plays Mozart. My abilities are far and beyond, and I'll tell you why after. But I first recognized it at about the age of 3. I heard someone calling my name when I was in bed. I got out thinking it was my parents. I go in their room and they're fast asleep. I go back to my bed and I'm lying there and realize that there's faces all around my room looking at me. And it scared me as a child very much. So I pulled the covers over my face, and as the sun started to come up, I could see the shadows of them getting right into my face. It was very frightening as a child. And as I got older, I knew everything that was going to happen before it happened. And I would tell my classmates and friends in school, and I quickly got labeled the freak because kids are cruel.
Yes.
So I wouldn't say a thing after, but I became a nervous wreck. I had all kinds of nervous habits and tics. I stuttered, all kinds of things. And when I was 10, my dad actually kidnapped the youngest 5 of us. It was a very broken home. And my job at night was to do the dishes. And there was a woman that would keep me company at night and talk to me. And I appreciated that because I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anybody. And she was about 45 or so. And one day I asked my older brother, I just assumed everybody saw her, who she was. And he started laughing at me and told me that she was the dead woman in the house. Her husband had killed her and thrown her down the basement stairs. And he was absolutely right. And it scared me so much that she never came back again. And from that point forward, I really tried to block my abilities because I had fear. And fear is what actually does block your ability. And I died at the age of 27. You would think at that point in time that would have been the opening, right? But it wasn't, because I still had a lot of work to do. You know, we plan this life for the most part, and everything happens when it's supposed to happen. And I still had a lot of things I had to do in my life to experience so that I could still help the people that I'm helping now. So when I died at the age of 27, when you think of quantum physics and the speed of light, it's almost 300 million miles a second. My soul went into the light at that speed. That's a very high frequency. So frequency, energy, vibration, all different words for the same thing. And then when I came back, so I never called it a near-death experience because I knew I died. I didn't see a tunnel. Everybody sees different things. I immediately was taken to the other side. And I started getting a life review. And it's like sitting in the front row of an IMAX theater. And my life was just playing out on the screen in front of me. And they were showing me all the wonderful people that had been in my life, the times that I had a lot of fun and a lot of joy. And then I heard from behind me that it wasn't really my time. I could stay if I wanted to, or I could go back. It was my choice. And I was really thinking about staying. It's just amazing there. And then I remembered that I had 2 small children, and I knew that one of the biggest reasons that I came here in this lifetime was for them, and that they brought me the most joy in my life. And as soon as I made the decision to come back at 300 million miles a second, my soul went back into my body. So my vibration is still very, very high. And I believe that's the reason that I can connect almost instantly. And they allow me the opportunity to go back and forth to that lowest level of heaven, the 5th dimension at will. I go there all the time. I can see beyond that, but I cannot go beyond that level while I'm still stuck in this 3D world here.
And when we are going through quantum hypnosis and we're, going through the process of understanding through the Dolores Cannon School, she says they, and she says the higher self, and she says the subconscious mind. And she says, people ask her all the time, who is they? She said them, the collective, source. So when people hear you say they allowed me, it's whatever interpretation that person thinks of that's connected to their life. But I exactly know what you're talking about. But June, you are a platform psychic medium. Can you explain what that does and how this role differs from the other types of mediumships?
So a platform medium is someone that goes up on a stage and has an audience of 300-400 people and will give messages to the people in the audience. And I also work differently than most platform mediums. Most of them will just say, hey, I got a guy here. He's wearing, Farmer jeans. He's about 60. Does he belong to anybody? And everybody's raising their hands. I don't work that way. You will spend all night trying to figure out who you got. I ask for specific people, and that's who I bring through.
And that reminds me of, I think his name is Eric Van Pratt. Ben Pratt. He had a show on Gaia at one point. He was doing a lot of platform mediumship, and I wrote about him in my book, Empowered by Consciousness. But he just seemed to really resonate with the audience, and I just found him very interesting, to say the least. But it's really fascinating to learn how you use your skills, for the platform conversation. To really help
I
show the
don't do a
audience.
lot of that any longer because I do so many other things. I'm doing a retreat as a workshop. That's a cruise coming up next year, and I'll be doing platform mediumship there for the audience. Other than that, I don't really do a lot of it anymore. There's just so many other things to do.
Just going through your website and reading about you, you've mentioned that your mother was also a medium. How do you see your psychic abilities as a continuation of her legacy?
She was, but I wasn't aware of it until later in life. Like I said, my dad kidnapped us when I was 10 and just told us our mother was crazy and threw us out. But my mom's abilities opened up for her at some point in time, and she didn't know where to go with it. So she exposed us to tons of religions looking for answers. And when my abilities finally opened up, I actually spent 1.5 years in training before I did anything. And I ended up training at places that my mother had gone to 50 years earlier. And they still remembered her, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know that I mentioned near-death experience, but it was actually a death experience at the age of 27. Can you tell us what profound insights, if any, did you gain about life in the afterlife that you can bring into your practice today?
So it's interesting. Everyone is lumped into NDE, near-death experience. And that term was coined by scientists because they can't quantify it at the moment, supposedly. So your soul is way too big for this body. You have some of your soul is in your body. Some of it is over your body that people can see, and they call it an aura. And the majority of your soul is actually in the lowest level of heaven, that 5th dimension. And it orchestrates the timing of the events in your life, and it holds the knowledge of all your lifetimes. So when people are meditating and they're getting in touch with their soul, they're actually getting in touch with that part of your soul that's in the 5th dimension. It has all that knowledge and that high vibration. This is what helps raise your vibration exponentially when you get in touch with your soul. So if the two things that you take with you when you die are knowledge and feelings. I used to say it was love and knowledge because I just experienced overwhelming love on the other side. However, I've brought through many people that are still in anguish, remorse, sadness. So you bring through all of your feelings. That being said, if you were in a car accident and it was traumatic, your soul would jump out of your body prior to the impact. So your soul's not feeling all that hurt and damage. Okay. My youngest brother, when he was 16, was involved in a very serious car accident that almost killed him. However, it's considered an NDE because his soul jumped out of his body and he stood there on the sidewalk watching the whole thing until the paramedics came and he went back into his body. It was not his time to die. It's an NDE, so everyone's lumped in. Same thing with my girlfriend. She was impacted by a deer coming through the side window. And she's a Catholic, and she thought she'd done something wrong and wasn't going to go to heaven because her soul jumped out and was stuck on the roof of the car. And she saw the soul of the deer go up to heaven, but here she is stuck looking down at her body. Same thing until the paramedics came and she went back into her body. So all those things are linked into a near-death experience. That's why I never called it that, because I knew I died. I went to heaven. Less than 10% of the people that have an NDE actually die. Less than that make it to the level that I made it at, the 5th dimension, and next to no, less than that get a life review, and less than no one gets an opportunity to come back. So it's very rare.
So when you moved at 390,000 miles per second, move into the spiritual realm, did you gain any insights about life itself,
So
and the afterlife?
they've given me quite the education since,
Mhm.
because my instructors and teachers here could only take me so far. My
Sure.
abilities would be on theirs, and my information comes from the other side. So we write this plan. If you don't like the plan, then you've got no one to blame but yourself, because you wrote it. The only thing you can really delay in this lifetime are the lessons that you're here to learn, and you can delay them for your whole lifetime if you are that stubborn and you choose to. And everybody can look at their life and see how everything in their life has brought them to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and brought you to where you are right now, which is exactly where you're supposed to be. And it's a little harder to look forward, but some of the things in your past might have been a little traumatic, and you're like, why did that happen? Well, the reality of it is, if you're not on your life path and you're very stubborn, the universe will step in. Suppose you were supposed to move across the country for another job, and realistically, when you took that job, you'd meet the love of your life, you'd have another family, a whole different thing would happen, right? And you're not going.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that you may have frozen on us a little bit, but we're speaking with June Edward. She's a psychic medium, and she's helping us understand different things. Okay, you're back with us again. You froze a little bit, but being the great host I am, I filled in that moment. But go ahead.
So what happens is the universe will step in and make it happen. So you end up where you're supposed to be. They may take your job away. They may take your house away. Something will happen to put you where you're supposed to be. And these are those times that you look back on. And when you look at it now, you can say, oh, good thing that happened, or this wouldn't have happened. That's how
don't we plan these things when we're in the spiritual realm? Do we plan them as best we can? And once we incarnate into these bodies, then there's free will, and the spirit tries its best to influence, but it can't change the free will of the human. Is that sort of right?
Kind of. We do plan this, and it is quite the long experience, quite honestly. Every archangel has a soul group, and the angels work with the souls to plan their life when they come here. Who do they owe karma to? Who are they going to collect karma from? What lessons do they still need to learn? What do they want to be? What do they want to experience? What do they want to do? Because it's also a little mini vacation. And there's options built in. So if you took option A, option B might kick in. It's pretty complicated. And the only out that is not acceptable is taking your own life. That is never an acceptable out. It's never written into your plan. And now all the angels have to scramble and fix all those connections you were supposed to make. But as far as free will goes, the universe wants you to think you have free will. So again, they'll give you door 1, 2, and 3. You take door 1, you go through it, you get married, you have a couple of kids, you get divorced. Where are you going to be? In front of door 1, 2, and 3. Creatures of habit, take door 1 again, go through it again, get married, have a couple more kids, get divorced. Where are they again? In front of
Right.
one anymore.
Wow.
You're going to take door 2 or door 3, and you may still get married and have more children, but it's not going to end the way the other 2 do, because you learned the lesson you were supposed to learn. So again, you can delay your lessons forever and keep taking door 1. It's like a revolving door if you choose.
Yeah, it's contracts. We sign contracts to be in relationships, but it doesn't mean that we have to continue to stay in the relationship because they're experiences. We're here, we're incarnated to experience.
Well, every relationship isn't supposed to last forever. There are 3 different types of relationships. There's a karmic relationship, a soulmate relationship, and the extremely rare twin flame. And you're in relationship with everybody. You're in relationship. Business is a relationship. You're in relationship with your employees, your customers, your coworkers. You're in relationship with your family, your friends. It's not just an intimate situation. These are all relationships, and they all happen for a reason. Nothing is random. So you're always either learning a lesson or teaching a lesson. And a karmic relationship, you'll know it's a karmic relationship because it never really feels quite comfortable. You're always looking for that shoe to drop, or you're looking for the red flags. And as soon as one or the other has learned their lesson, that relationship ends immediately. It's like you wake up one morning and you're like, why do I even have this person in my life? And if you've both learned the lesson, it will end amicably. If only one or the other has learned the lesson, it's going to end, but it's not going to be amicable.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Well, you and I were talking earlier before we got on the show, and you told me, "Hey, I have a book out that you need to read, Jason, and it's not going to be like any other book you've ever read in your life. Let's talk about it. Let's find out what that is, June."
That is All's Fair in Love and Karma. And it describes the 3 types of relationships and the 5 lessons. So
Hmm.
the second type of relationship is a soulmate relationship. Those, again, are there to teach you something or for you to learn something, but they're also there to afford you some love and comfort along the way. And you know it's a soulmate because it feels good. It's feel good from the get-go, like you've known this person a long time. And soulmate relationships do not necessarily have to end once the lesson is learned. That really depends on what you wrote into your life plan.
Hmm.
And then you have twin flames, which there's way too much misinformation around the internet about them because of the movies, the Notebook, things like that. But they're extremely rare. And it's literally one soul that's split into 2 bodies before they reincarnated. And they will forever after reincarnate as 2 separate bodies. And if you have one in this lifetime, you will meet them at some predetermined time in your life, and literally your life will just fall apart. It's like you dropped a bomb on it. It blows everything up. And they are always extremely sexual, extremely passionate, extremely psychic, and extremely short. They last for anywhere from a few days to a few months. And once they're over, it's like it never happened. If you both are able to learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn, the 5 lessons, and get on your soul path. Twin flames have to be on a soul path to help humanity. They're here for a higher purpose. If you can both do that, you'll have an opportunity to reconnect in this lifetime. Otherwise, you have to wait till you get to the other side, and that's the case with most twin flames.
Hmm.
And
So,
usually only one person recognizes the connection, the other one does not.
yeah, I'm getting that book. Trust me. So, are those the 5 steps to relationship mastery?
So those are the 3 types of relationships that exist.
Gotcha.
The 5 lessons that we're here to learn. The first one is self-worth. And
Hmm.
self-worth is not value. Value is what other people place on you. Self-worth is the understanding that you are the only one of you in this entire universe. How special is that?
Very.
Even if you're a twin, you like different things, you have different thoughts, and you have different fingerprints. You're different people. Okay. And as much as society would like you to think it's narcissistic or selfish to put yourself first, it's not. It's where everything else comes from. If you can't put yourself first, you're never going to be here to take care of anybody else, are you? And
Wow.
everybody wants to keep pushing on everybody else. Everybody wants to change it. You can't do it. It doesn't work that way. You have to focus on you. Put your energy here to start. And no one else can make you feel anything. I can't look at you and say, hey, I want you to fall madly in love with me. It doesn't work that way. You are the only person responsible for how you feel. You are the only person that can make yourself happy. It's not going to happen when someone else comes into your life or when you get this or that. You have to be happy with who you are. Then you have unconditional love. And that starts with self-worth too. Look in the mirror. You have to start with loving yourself first.
Hmm.
And then you have to understand that self-worth is not saying, unconditional love is not saying, oh, I've got to stay in this bad relationship because I'm supposed to be practicing unconditional love. That's not what it's about. This is where self-worth will kick back in again because you have to put yourself first. Unconditional love is saying, listen, I really do care about you. This has been a wonderful ride, but it's not working any longer. I want the best for you. I want the best for me. It's time to go our separate ways. And it's meaning that you want the best for both of you. It's not bad mouthing them on the weekend with their friends. Suppose you had a child that you love unconditionally and they do something horrific, like murdering a neighbor in a fit of rage, and they go to prison for the rest of their life. You don't like what the child did, but hopefully you're still going to love your child. And for those people that are stubborn and still refuse to learn unconditional love and tell me, oh, there's conditions to that. It was my child. Well, the universe will take it a step further then. Maybe a drunk driver will take your child. Then what? Are you going to spend your life letting hate eat you away? Or are you going to be able to look at it from a higher perspective and know that your child is in a better place and most likely planned that into their life, and that there's lessons in here for both the driver, maybe his family, people that are connected to it, could even be the doctors, the ambulance, who knows, and lessons for you as well. There's lessons always for everybody. That's unconditional love.
Wow.
Then you have trust and communication, and you have to trust that there is a higher power. I don't care what you call it. You can call it source energy, God, Baba Gadush. I don't care. There's only one. And when you get to the other side, you will know that there is only one. And you have to trust that you made this plan. So whatever is happening in your life, it's happening because it's supposed to. Nothing is ever happening to you. It's always happening for you, for your highest and best. And you had to be able to communicate your wants and your needs to the people in your life. They don't know by osmosis. Doesn't matter if it's your employer, your friend, your lover, you need to be able to communicate. And sex is nothing more than another form of communication. If you can't communicate and trust outside the bedroom, you're not going to be able to do it inside the bedroom. Then you have money and balance. And money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And it's what we use in this 3D world to show whether or not your life is in balance. And everything has to be an equal exchange of energy. This is why we go to the grocery store and use money. But you don't pop down $1 million to buy a gallon of milk, right? Not yet. So it has to be that equal exchange of energy. When you understand how money works, it has to flow because it's energy. The more you put out, the more will come back. So if you're working 80 hours a week, guess what? Your life's going to be out of balance because you're not going to have any time for your friends, your family, your own hobbies. And then if you're just saving your money up, guess what? You don't have self-worth to spend the fruits of your labor on yourself. Each of the lessons will keep on intertwining with each other. You're meant to live in abundance here. And when you understand that and raise your vibration, this is where the law of attraction kicks in. But you've got to balance that energy in order to maintain it. And then the last lesson is patience. And we live right now in a world of instant gratification. Everybody wants everything yesterday. And it doesn't work that way. How stupid would it be if every little 5-year-old girl that wants to get married and have babies, the guys are lining up at the door and the stork is dropping them in boxes? No. Same thing if you're getting older and on in years and you wanted to get married and have children and your biological clock is ticking. If it hasn't happened yet, it's because it's the way you planned it. And it doesn't mean it's never going to happen. Maybe when you're 50 or 60, you're going to marry a widow and raise his children for them. You don't know. If you knew everything that was going to happen every day, you wouldn't want to get out of bed in the morning. It's that simple. You're supposed to be living a life of surprise. You're supposed to be loving this life and taking every day as it comes.
I think you were right, because understanding these steps is transformational for anybody right now who's listening. So June's book, All's Fair in Love and Karma, guys, make sure you pick that book up, because the information right now is totally good for you, and it can help you on a structured path to improving your relationship and things in your life. But I want to ask you this. How does your work with energy in the lessons from the other side? How does that help? How does that help those that are dealing with grief and loss?
So it's all difficult for us, right? When we lose somebody, because we're stuck in this little 3D here and we don't see them every day. However, the reality of it is they're still right here. They just don't have a body. Let me give you a great example. When my dad was 93, he was passing away from cancer, and he was bedridden, and I would go see him every day. And one day he said to me, I want to talk to you about what you do. And I'm like, oh, really? That's interesting, since you thought I was crazy, right? What do you want to know? He goes, well, I want to know why every morning when I wake up, I see my mother standing next to the bed. So I explained to him that she's going to help transition him to the other side when it's his time to go. He goes, yeah, I get that. That's not what I want to know. What I want to know is, how come she disappears after I've been awake for a couple of seconds? I said, Dad, she doesn't disappear. She's still standing here. I've seen her here for almost a year. The only reason you don't see her is because your brain kicks in again to block her. It creates that fear and stops you from seeing it. And that's what happens here. When people understand energy, because we are pure energy, everyone's walked into a funeral and everyone's felt that low energy, that sadness, right? When you lose someone, you feel that. Everyone's walked into a wedding or a birthday party and felt that high energy. Or if you've been in love, that's the highest of energy, right? So when you can understand how energy feels, you'll know when they're around you. All you have to do is think about them and they show up immediately. It's like a two-way mirror. They can see you, they can hear you, they can touch you. You don't know they're there unless you're really paying attention to the energy. And because they're moving at 300 million miles a second, it's very, very fast. Even when I can see them like a 3D person. I see them everywhere. And if anybody could see that, it's like watching a movie of The Walking Dead. The low vibration ones that have not gone into the light, the ghosts, they're stuck here. And they can only move as fast as you or I. But I pick them up immediately because I can recognize the difference in the energy. If I'm looking for a missing person and they've passed away, if they have not gone into the light, I can't tell they're dead because the vibration is the same as a human being. So you have to learn how to pick up on that energy, and then you'll know when they're around you. It's almost like, the hair on your arm will stand up, or you'll feel that little electrical, whatever. They want you to know that they're around you. They want to be around you. But if you're stuck in grief, they live vicariously through us on the other side because they don't have a body anymore. So they used to say, if you wanted to have them for dinner, set an extra plate and they'll join you. They will. If you're enjoying your meal, they'll be enjoying it with you as well, remembering, oh yeah, I remember that great steak. I remember that great Thanksgiving. But if you're stuck in grief and you're literally crying all the time and can't get over them and you're depressed, they are as well on the other side. They're not enjoying it over there at that point. They're literally stuck right next to you and crying along with you. And that's not what you really want. You really want them to enjoy their afterlife because it's amazing over there. It truly is.
Yeah. Okay, so I practice using psychic abilities in remote viewing, which you are exercising your psychic abilities. I'm a remote viewer, and I'm an associate remote viewer. So, but I have to move myself into a state of relaxation. I'm a transcendental meditator, so I get into this deep state of relaxation, and I set my intentions, and then I go into the remote viewing session, and I move my consciousness to bring back information. So the only way I can see it is when I touch the page with the information on it, and I get bits of images, very small. And when you mentioned your father, he wanted to know why he couldn't see them, and she's there a few moments. I was under the impression that we can see these ascended beings if we're on the right frequency as they are. Is there some truth to that, or
not necessarily? So while you're in this 3D body, we have the body that we have to work with. Okay. And the first thing is your eyes. Color doesn't exist. The only reason we see color is because of the way our eyes is picking up the light refraction off of an object, and our brain transposes it over. You have a lot of people that are colorblind and can't see colors. All they see is grays.
Right.
You have animals that can only see, grays and things. Just like a camera, a camera can pick up an apparition because it's picking up the energy that your eyes can't see. Okay, because of your eyes. This is why if you learn how energy is, you'll start picking it up just from the energy. And then when you're doing your remote viewing, what's actually happening is you're sending more of your soul somewhere. So the better you get at sending your soul out somewhere, the easier it will be for you. You won't have to go such a deep trance. The more you do it, you won't have to. You're sending your soul, and your soul is just looking around and sending that energy back to you. Thoughts are things. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows. It's all about the energy.
Awesome.
What was the other question you had? Oh, why we can't see. So the other thing, it's the same thing. If a tree falls in the wood, does it make a sound?
Yes.
No, it does not. It makes an energetic vibration. The only reason it is a sound is because there's a receiver to pick it up. Your ears are picking it up. A microphone is picking it up. Other than that, it's just an energetic vibration. It's all energy.
Right. I mean, but it does make a sound in the third dimensional construct. So we hear it as a sound. So
only because if you're deaf, you're not going to hear a sound. You'll feel the vibration.
Exactly. I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
But so that's the reason that people aren't really seeing them. I mean, to be on their vibrational level, none of us are on that level unless we don't have a body any longer, quite honestly. The low vibration ones that are in the 400 realm, I'm seeing them constantly. I see angels. I see energy. I can see them before they form. And I've walked in. Sometimes I can't tell if it's a human being or if it's a spirit, and that's not good, because if I'm not picking up right away that it's a spirit and I look and they notice I look, then they get angry with me because I'm not working and I'm not going to, get into it with them.
So we have people out there that have had near-death experiences, and we've had some people who have actually gone to the other side. And you had both. Well, no, you hadn't had a near-death. You actually did die. But there are doctors and prominent physicians who have had these near-death experiences, and they're writing about them. And they're saying, "Oh my God, I went somewhere." But there are those, and I write about this in my book, that have induced the OBE, the out of body experience themselves.
Sure, you can do that yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've done
you
this.
do that. You can do that through meditation. You're just sending more of your soul somewhere. That's what you're doing.
Right. So I've done this, and I've actually felt this vibration. Started on my arms, and then it moved to the other side of my body, and then I lost the connection. And I'm like, man. So I went back to sleep again. Not sleep, but sleep and not sleep, halfway in between. And I just waited and kept myself calm. And it happened again. This time I was like, yes, I'm gonna do it this time. And then after it engulfed my body, just this tingling, this like someone was starting a lawnmower.
The vibration is rising. That's why.
Yes. So all of a sudden I pop out, and I'm at the ceiling in my bedroom, and I'm looking down. So Dr. Bob Monroe's book, Out of Body Journeys, and he's written some fabulous books. He gives you an understanding on what to do. So I was trying to swim to get to the bottom of the floor. To get to the floor. And I remember Dr. Bob Monroe says, no, think. When you're outside of the body, just think everything, and it happens. So I thought about being on the floor. I'm on the floor. I thought about being on the other side of the door. I'm on the other side of the door.
Thoughts are things. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows.
Yes. So after I did all of this, and I went into my son's rooms, and I observed both of them doing what they were doing, and I came back into the body, and I wrote everything down. And I waited until the next day, like Bob Monroe talked about, to validate the out-of-body experience. And I asked them the questions I needed to ask without giving them any kind of clue on what happened. I validated it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And, June, it just took me because I was doing these things, practicing these spiritual modalities, and then writing about the experience. And that's the crux of my book. But June, it further validated that this matrix that we're living in was true to me, because I've been outside of the body a few times, and I know I could validate it by asking the questions of the people who were still in this third density. What can you comment on that?
So it's your soul. Again, your soul is way too big for this body. I got to see what was left of my mom's soul leave her body when she died. And she had such a little amount of her soul left that she was only taking a breath once every 3 minutes. 98% of her soul was already gone. That's all that was left. So again, your soul is really, really big. When my abilities opened up for the second time, it was because I meditated. And as soon as I meditated, it was like they kicked the door in from the other side. She's ready. And I couldn't shut it off. I did not know how to shut it off. I had to go take training and learn. But, the first day that I went to work and they opened up everything. I mean, the first person, I'm like, did your aunt die? Yeah. How'd you know? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, did you clean her house out this weekend? Yeah. How'd you know? I'm like, I have no idea. Did you find one of those monkey sock puppets from the 50s? Yeah, we found one in the attic. I'm like, oh my God. The next one, I'm remote viewing her entire house. I'm like, you have 5 Christmas trees? Yeah, how'd you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, you've got 3 upstairs, 2 downstairs, 1 near the fireplace. One's a white tree. You've got all your presents under it. I even know what's in the presents. I'm telling. She's like, you've been to my house. Do you know my husband? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I swear to God. So yeah, it's your soul going there. And the more, it's like anything else. The more you practice, the easier it gets. The more you do something, the better it is. I've flown over like 14th century England. Oh my God, it was just incredible.
Okay, you can help me improve my remote viewing skill. I'm convinced of it. I'm pretty good, but I know you can help me improve them. I know. Okay. So, what advice would you give someone skeptical about the reality of psychic mediums and the authenticity of the messages that we get, or that you get, or a psychic medium gets from beyond?
So they should be validating. When I bring through someone from the other side, if you ask me to bring your mother through or your grandmother, I don't know this person. You do. I don't know them at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
All I can do is give you what I get. But from what they're giving me, you should be able to validate that. When I tell you, she worked outside the house, or she didn't work outside, or she thought how people perceived her was very important to her. She's dressed impeccably. She's got her hair done by a hair. You should be able to confirm, oh yeah, that would be my mother. Yep, she did that. Yep. All of those things. I don't know them. You do. So they should be able to give you information that you can confirm to prove that it's them.
So do you do this energetically through sessions, through in person? Can you do them like, say, for
Anyway,
instance, right now online?
it's energy. So, most of my readings, I'm in Florida. So if somebody wants to come see me in person, that's fine. Otherwise, I have clients all over the world at this point. So I either do by phone or by Skype or by Zoom. It doesn't really matter because it's energy. They're coming through to me. I can remote view where they are too. Sometimes they'll come to me and then they'll go to the other person because they can move, in seconds. They can go anywhere.
Okay, so can you tell me something about my mother?
I can't, because right now I'm not working in that mode right now. That's a
Gotcha.
separate mode.
So you do have to prepare yourself.
For me, it's like a switch. I've been trained to turn it on and off. So
Okay.
they're not allowed to come through to me unless I'm working, unless it's an emergency.
Okay. So you do have to prepare yourself. You do have to get into
It's a different mode.
A level of meditation. The same way any practitioner would have to prepare themselves if they're going to do a remote viewing session,
And everything is different.
session, or if they're going
As
to go into
everything is different. Everything's different. It's like when I do Akashic record readings, it's similar to your past life regression, except I'm the one that's reading someone's book of life and giving them the information, and they can ask questions. But I need 2 days to prepare before that. And that's not my rule. That's the rule upstairs. I have to follow their rules. There's rules on our side as there is on the other side. Same thing. If I don't follow the rules, they don't let me in.
Right. So can you share one of the most profound or unexpected messages you've delivered from the other side?
Oh my goodness. I remember I was doing a gallery reading once, and I had, I don't know, a couple hundred people in the audience. And the gentleman in the front row, I called on him first, and he wanted to talk to his wife. He was a widower. And I told him, just call her in your head 3 times and I'll tell you who shows up. And I'm standing there and I'm like, oh God, what do I do? Do I just say no one came through? All I'm seeing I'm like, I got to give him what I get. That's all I can do. So I'm like, listen, all I'm seeing are 2 hands, and they're holding out what looks like a beautiful prom dress. And I'm hearing prom dress. This is all I'm getting. And the guy starts bawling his eyes out. He's like, that's my wife. That was her favorite saying every time she left the house. I'm off like a prom dress. And then she came through the rest of the way so that I could continue to describe her and give him messages for both him and their children. Yeah.
Wow.
You never know what they're going to give you from the other side. So you have to just give what you get. That's all you can do. It may not mean anything to me, but it meant the world to him, didn't it?
It did. It did.
Yeah.
You mentioned a minute ago that it takes you almost 2 days sometimes to get ready for whatever
Akashic record reading to go to so I physically go, I don't physically, my soul goes to the 5th dimension for that, which is not the problem, but you have to go through some preparation for them prior to them allowing you into the record room.
Right.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask you was, how do you ensure that, once you've prepared, how do you ensure that you are accurately interpreting the message that you're receiving?
So they've given me an entire litany of symbols and signs that mean certain things. So for instance, if I see a man wearing a white dress shirt that means he had a professional job. If he's got a pocket protector, it means he was either an engineer or he was a geek and didn't feel that he fit in.
Right.
So I don't know which it is. This is where I would have to ask the sitter, was he an engineer or did he just feel like he didn't fit in and, in society or in his job? I don't know the difference. Same thing if they show me something out of the ordinary, like a white Cadillac, that means nothing to me. I'd have to ask, did they drive one? Were they hit by one? Did they sell them? Do you drive one? Then I can get the rest of the message. And usually the message resonates immediately. Sometimes it's not what they want to hear. Sometimes people have this whole idea and concept of what's going to happen. They're the same people there that they were here. They didn't change. They just don't have a body anymore. And a lot of times, what's important to them is not what's really important to you. I had one today that, when the mom was alive, she was a hoarder. But now that she's on the other side, she understood that it's just stuff and it's not really that important. And she was trying to get that point across to her two daughters and just said, I let her talk through me. She'd slowed down her energy enough to be able to talk through me. So I just let her talk right through me. It's faster than trying to repeat everything. But yeah, everything she had to say about the kids, about what was going on, they resonated with everything that was happening. And they had technically booked me because something amazing had happened after they had a session with me previously. And they told me from the other side right off the bat what it was before the other people even said anything. I said, yeah, you got a clock and the clock's working. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, they told me, the grandfather fixed it, but it's not working now. He had a message,
Wow. So June, what role do the angels and guides play in your readings?
So, angels don't usually have any role in my readings. They have a role in everyone's life because they are separate entities. They were never human, and their entire existence is here to help us. But again, rules on the other side. If you don't ask, they can't help. That's the rule. So they're always trying to give you signs and symbols, but if you don't know, you don't know, right? Like the ones today on the clock was on 3, but it rang 11 times. I said, trying to give you the message that, he's protecting you and angels are protecting you, basically. But guides will come in and guides will give me information from the other side. I always call on them in case they have any information. Most of it's coming through the loved ones on the other side.
Wow. Well, how can one become more receptive to guides or to angels to be able to, feel this or hear this information or, receive it in whatever kind of way?
Well, it's interesting because, our belief system is based on what we've been taught or what we experience, right? And you really have to understand that you don't know what you don't know. And be willing to open your mind up a little bit that maybe there is something else out there. Maybe there are other ways. Maybe you don't know everything. And that's how you start becoming more receptive to it. And then understand that everyone has abilities. Everyone that's listening here today has abilities. Every one of you has thought of someone. And then within a very short period of time, they either called you or you ran into them unexpectedly, right? But it's not unexpected. Thoughts are things. Your energy went there. If you're thinking about someone, they're thinking about you. That's how it works.
That's awesome. As someone who has seen the impact of psychic guidance on your own personal transformation, what piece of advice would you offer to our listeners about embracing their own spiritual journey?
So you can have an amazing life. My book, this is my 4th book, but this was a result of my relationship mastery program. And it's a 7-week program that I created about 5 years ago because they told me to. That was the only reason I did it. And it was divinely created with the angels. And it only works if you do it in order in a timely manner. If you don't, you got to start it from the beginning. And it teaches you how to get in touch with your soul, how energy works. It unteaches you what you think you know about the universe and teaches you how everything really works and teaches you how the angels and the guides are talking to you and how to talk back, because angels talk in binary code and numbers, how to recognize what's happening in your life. And I only work with one person. So I geared it towards couples having relationship issues, but I only work with one person because for every action, there's an equal or greater reaction. But everyone that went through that program was learning these 5 lessons. And once you learn them, it only took 7 weeks. It didn't take 7 years. Once you learn them, their lives changed like you can't imagine. I had one guy I was thinking of, he came out of prison. He went to prison. He owned a family farm, got in financial trouble, and was selling off neighbors' cattle that he had taken in to take care of. He was selling them off. Small town, got caught, went to jail for 6 months. No one talked to him. Small town, you're ostracized, right? All of his friends left. His wife divorced him. His kids wouldn't talk to him. He was ready to take his own life when he found me. And after going through the program, right off the bat, within less than 2 months, he went and talked to his friends. He talked to everyone that he'd sold off their cows and let them know he was going to pay them back. Told them why it happened, and they all understood. His kids started rallying around him again. He didn't want to be in that business anymore. He always wanted to be in the food business, so he got a food truck. Within 2 years, he had not just the food truck, but a restaurant, full restaurant with it. He written a book on his experience. All of his friends and the town rallied around him. His kids obviously all came back, and he started finally dating his wife again.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing how your life changes when you're able to look at it from a higher perspective and understand why things are happening.
Wow. June, now can we talk about you? I've asked you all these questions, but let's talk about you, some of the wonderful things you're doing, the other books that you have, some of the courses that you offer. And I know you do sessions, what's on your website. Let's just talk about you. Tell the audience everything they need to know, how they can contact you, and what types of programs you offer.
So my website is very simple. It's my name, juneedward.com. You can send me messages through there. You all can reach me through social media. All the links are on there. There are videos from my students. There are podcasts on there. There is a free webinar that everyone can sign up for and learn a little bit more about how energy works. And if you're interested in the Relationship Mastery program, you can schedule a call with me there to see if you're a good fit for the program. You can schedule an appointment with me to talk to someone from the other side. I do numerology and astrology. I read destiny cards, which are the cards of the Magi, as well as the angel cards. I do the Akashic records, which is your past life. So if you're having an issue in this lifetime and you're wondering why, it's because we bring a lot of things through from lifetime to lifetime. And when you understand the why behind what's happening, you can clear that up and get rid of it in this lifetime. There are links to all of my books. I now have 4 books on there. My first book was A Night on the Other Side, and that has everything in it that I used to teach in psychic development and mediumship development classes. So if somebody wants to really improve on their own skills and learn how to protect themselves and learn how to talk to the angels, I would recommend everyone get that book and start out with that book. And meditation is so important, and so important to do it properly and protect yourself, that I put it in every one of my books. And All's Fair in Love and Karma is my latest bestseller, and it was endorsed by John Gray as well. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And I think it's something that everyone can relate to, and it will resonate with everyone in simple language. It's not a difficult book to read, and it will give you an understanding of the why behind the relationships that you have in your life. I've also written my autobiography, and I only made that out there because all these people that were telling me that you can't imagine everything I've gone through in my life. Well, guess what? Go to chapter 27. It's probably in there. And then I have the Destiny Card Journal that I did as well, so people can understand a little bit about it's a little more complicated, but it's all explained. When you go look at the website, you can understand it, or even go to Amazon. You can read the first few pages and understand a little bit more about it. It's astrology and numerology combined.
Awesome. I'm just sitting here smiling. I'm waiting. Is it all? I mean, I know you have more. Any new projects you're working on?
Well, I've got the retreat I'm working on, because all the students have been bugging me for a couple of years to do a retreat. So March 1 to 8 of 2025. It will be a 7-night Western Caribbean cruise, and I'll be doing 4 workshops on board, including a mediumship gallery, the destiny cards. I'll explain all that and do readings with the destiny cards. I'll be doing a relationship mastery refresher and workshop for people that have not gone through the program, so that they can understand it, and hints on their own relationships on how to improve them. And I will also be doing a mediumship and psychic development class and workshop so people can, and psychometry as well. Psychometry is where you pick up an object and tell them everything about the object so people can tap into their own abilities and see how that works as well.
Awesome. JuneEdward.com. You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? JuneEdward.com. June, thank you for coming on the Expansion of Consciousness. This show fits you, and we hope to get you back on here.
Oh, anytime.
Anytime there's anything going on in your life that you have going on, you are more than welcome to come back. Jason, I want to come on the show. I want to talk about some stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Please.
This was a lot of
Love to have
fun.
you
A
back.
lot of fun.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second. I'm going to close you out. I'm going to say some more wonderful things about you, but I want to say a few things before we get off. So 1 second, I'm going to move you up the stage, but thank you, June, for being here.
Thank you.
All right. 1 second. Wow. Awesome. As we wrap it up today, this was a profound, enriching conversation with June Edwards. I mean, we are reminded of the profound connections and healing that can be facilitated through psychic mediumship. And we've had people on the show today, and I can say that everyone has their own unique ability, but June is a little different. And, I've interviewed a number of people with very fabulous gifts, but there's something different here. And you guys should investigate and find out by visiting June's website, JuneEdward.com. Whether you seek to connect with a loved one, find closure, or understand more about your spiritual path, June's insight offer a powerful resource. And for those inspired by today's discussion, consider exploring more about June's work, reading her books, or even booking a session to discover the spiritual guidance. And I'm going to book one too, because I know I may need one in my own life, and maybe you do too. Just open up to the spiritual guidance and see how it can lead to significant healing and transformative experiences. But join us the next time on the Expansion of Consciousness as we continue to explore and expand our understanding of the mystical and the magical in our lives. And until then, keep seeking, keep learning, and let the journey transform you. And the last thing I'll say to you is to trust, relax, and discover. Thank you so much. Good night.